DHEC goes in there and gives them a citation and threatens them. And here they are, having babies born, you know, in the most natural setting, and having lots of success, not having any problems. They come in there and tell them they're gonna shut them down, but yet they let them kill babies hand over fist. So we got a lot of opportunities in this state. A lot of people ask me why, with so much to accomplish in the state, why do you run for USC? Well, I believe I'm the only one that can beat Lindsey Graham. I'm the only candidate in the race that's won a race. And I've won 3. And I've run 3 really hot races. I mean, they were all about as rough as you can get. And then people were talking about them around the state, how open they were. But I've been in 3 races. I've won 3 races. I know how to win a race. And we got to beat Lindsey Graham. And to me, to beat Lindsey Graham, you need somebody who knows how to win a race. Yes, sir.
In the race, wasn't Lindsey Graham around 46, 47%, and then the rest of it was divided up amongst 4 different candidates. So, you know, when you say you're second, that would be totally where you're at, you know, because right now there's 4 of you divided
Yeah,
up.
but I mean, the polling, I'm second place behind Graham.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, and Graham is, I've seen him above 50. But you got to remember, his favorability is below 40. So you got a lot of people who, they get a phone call for a poll, they want to sound intelligent, Lindsey Graham's the name they know. So they just say Graham. Now, that's good and bad. The good is, you educate them more, and they vote for somebody else because they're not favorable to Graham. The bad news is, if you don't educate them, come election day, they'll hit the name they know. Yes, sir.
Lindsey Graham has a lot of money behind him. How are you set?
Our goal was to raise $100,000 in 45 days. We did that. We're trying to raise $200 grand by December 31st, which, you know, you don't know till December 31st.
Sure.
We got a fundraiser January 2nd, which we're collecting the money for now. We got another one the 9th, another one the 12th, I believe it is 13th. But we got 3 fundraisers coming up. We're trying to collect all the money before the fundraisers to hit that $200 grand goal. Our goal then was to raise another $500,000 first quarter because people are paying attention. I mean, you statistically usually grow each quarter, except for this quarter because it's Christmas. It's a pretty anemic quarter, usually. And then usually double the last quarter once you raise the whole election cycle. So if we raise 1, 2, and 5 is 8. 8 the last quarter, that's 1.6. I think we'll get $3 million from out of state. If we do our part and get to 1.6. They're waiting to see if we're going to be competitive. They're waiting to see if South Carolina cares. Because if we don't care, why should they?
Can I comment on that? We attended a Freedom Works conference a few months back, and that was the message, folks. There is out-of-state money waiting to beat Lindsey Graham. You guys got to solidify and raise up your candidate.
Right.
You know, don't do this congressional 16 guys in a race thing here. But pick your winner, get behind him, and if you show that you got boots on the ground, that's what they want to back.
Yes, sir.
Today I was out waving signs for you, and
Thank you.
a lot of the people don't know really who you are. One lady pulled up, she rolled on the window, and she said, "Who's Lee Bright?" And I said, "He's going to be Lindsey Graham's replacement." And she looked at the other 3 people in the car, she said, "You got 3 bullets here." You know, we're trying to change our tactics a little bit. I'll talk to Lori about that.
Yeah.
First person in line should have something to replace Lindsey Graham, so they know why we're out there.
May this be a good time to introduce Lori.
There you go.
Come on in, Lori. Leave your mouth.
It's okay, but I'm proud to support Lee. He's the best state senator that we have, and he's going to make an awesome U.S. senator. So if you guys haven't signed on my email list yet, with your phone number and your address and your date of birth and your social security, I'm just kidding. No, just, you know, whatever information that you can give me to keep in touch with you. I love to keep you in the loop with the campaign. It's going very well in the Low Country, and this is the area that's going to be Graham. And so it's going to make or break the election for us. So
Graham lost Greenville last time. He lost Greenville County 6 years ago. In the upstate, he is not well loved. Down here's where the fight's going to be. That's why you even talk about the fort so much.
Lee, if you remember back when Mark Sanford won his election, he was not endorsed by anybody, okay? The RNC turned their back on him. You know who got Mark Sanford elected?
It was us.
Us,
Yeah.
the people.
That's what-
We
that's
did
the
it.
underground.
It didn't have a thing to do with money. It didn't have a thing to do with the RNC. We had our voices heard, and we were heard loud and clear. And he walked away with that election. And if it can happen for him, I know it can happen for you. And it's just a matter of everybody coming together and getting behind you, Lee. I said that to you months ago, and I say it to the folks here tonight. We have got to replace Lindsay.
Every day that we wait to settle on somebody, it does give Lindsay another day to hope. I mean, he loves this that we can't decide. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm one that, I don't know squat about you. The only thing, I guess I knew your name before tonight, and that's about it. Could you, tell me something about you? Tell me something, you know, where you stand on, you know, some of the hot issues, like the homosexual marriage. And I already know where you stand on abortion. I've already heard you say that. But some of the other stuff like that. Let me hear what you got to say.
Well, I'm on the Ethics and Religious Liberty Council with the Southern Baptist Convention, although I had a pretty heated discussion with them on the immigration issue. We got crossed on that because I believe they were wrong. I'm against amnesty.
Okay.
I'm not for homosexual marriage. I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. And I don't believe that other states that pass, we have an amendment to our Constitution that says marriage is between a man and a woman. Washington State has legalized gay marriage, and they have a 17% gay marriage rate, was according to the last report I heard, which is, you know, that's Washington State's business.
Right.
But obviously, you know, congressional district or congressional makeup is by population. And since they can't reproduce, they are actually going to limit. I mean, so, to me, that's line of Washington State. And I think I think that's a state's issue. I just don't want another state cramming down our state's throat.
Amen.
Could you elaborate what your voting record is in the state senate, South Carolina State Senate?
I have 100 with every Tea Party group. I have 100 with the Club for Growth. I have a 50 with the Chamber of Commerce, the worst senator there are in the state. I'm against crony capitalism in every form. I don't think governments pick winners and losers because we do such a poor job of everything else. I think the private sector should do it. But, you know, on social issues, I'm close to libertarian because I don't want to force. I believe Christianity is a religion of liberty. Because as a Christian, I believe and I know that if Jesus Christ wanted us all on our knees right now, we'd be on our knees and wouldn't have an option. But he gives us a choice, and he gives us a free will. And I believe government should give people a free will. I believe the role of government is to protect us from one another, not to protect us from ourselves. So when we look at laws ought to be made. Number one, I saw this statistic there talking about we had how many bills Congress had passed over the last several Congresses. And one was like 302 years, and it was 202 years, and it was 150. And then this last Congress has only passed like 57 bills. Praise God. I mean, we got enough laws.
Right.
Every time you pass a law, you give government more power.
Yep.
And I don't see very many laws that are giving the people power. Yes, sir.
Could you articulate the Islam objective of the religion?
Sharia law, I'm a sponsor of the bill that would outlaw Sharia law in the state. I mean, it's, you know, I was reading in the Wall Street Journal, Assad, you know, has been weakened in Syria. Well, it's not that Assad's a good guy, but they're going door to door killing Christians. I mean, these people that Graham wants to get in bed with are killing Christians. I mean, the Muslim Brotherhood, for goodness sakes, they had ties to Al-Qaeda. And he's wanting to go in and fight for them. Use our troops. He wants to give them arms. He wants to take away our... I watched Lindsey Graham in a committee hearing quoting the Supreme Court and talking about the Second Amendment and said, you know, the Supreme Court had said, which they did, that, you know, the Second Amendment was for reasonable people for reasonable purposes. Bull. The Second Amendment was to protect us from a tyrannical government.
That's right.
Yep.
They just left one they didn't want another.
That's right.
So it's just a different viewpoint. I want Americans armed. I want you to be able to defend yourself. I mean, to me, that's freedom. I mean, that cops are great. My daughter dates a cop. He was spent 8 years in the military. I mean, he's a great guy, but he's too heavy. I can't carry him everywhere I go. I can carry a gun a whole lot easier. And I mean, they're great history teachers. I mean, they can tell you what happened. They can tell you who shot who. You know, but that's not exactly what I'm looking for when somebody comes after me. I don't know what happened. I want to be able to affect what's happened. So I want to fight for your gun rights because I want you to be able to protect yourself. You know, I sponsored this bill, the constitutional carry, and Charleston sent up a whole delegation of policemen to testify against it. The city of Charleston busted me,
But that's,
and I was so angry. I was so angry.
that's not surprising for the city of Charleston.
And I thought to myself, how's Charleston safe? It's all around. But I had a guy, I called a policeman from Arizona, and I said, you know, you guys passed constitutional carry, you got Phoenix, you got Tucson. Tell me what it's been like. He said, oh, it was terrible at first. He said, every time somebody saw a gun, they'd call 911. He said, after a while, little old lady's walking down the street, what's she got in her purse? You know, should I try to rob her? Because she could shoot me. He said, crime goes down. A guy came and testified that just moved to St. Cloud from Arizona. He said, every time I went to a store, I had my gun. And people would thank me for carrying. He said, I felt like I was a policeman. So, you know, crime will go down. It's just, I trust the people. And once they take up all the guns, they start, and of course they make us name have CWP. I don't want the government to have a list who's got a gun. It's none of their business. I don't want them in your cell phones. I don't want them on your email. I mean, we're in trouble. We are in trouble. But we can turn it around.
Yeah, I just read, they were comparing all of the works of Shakespeare, it's about 700,000 words, and our tax code is about 3.5 million. Would you like to talk about taxes a little bit?
Fair tax. I love fair tax. I mean, the tax code's where they control us. I mean, you know, this, you can point it all back to the income tax, most of our problems, because that's what it plays on coveting. You know, it's all sin. You know, get back to it's all sin. I mean, I want what my brother has. So why don't I and my other brother get together and we'll vote away for what my brother has? I mean, it's legalized plunder. It's theft.
There you go.
I mean, that's what it is. And this entitlement to other people's property because you want their stuff, it's just wrong.
That's right.
And I think, you know, most of our problems in the country are spiritual problems, but there again, you know, it's about liberty. And liberty is just, you know, the right to keep what's yours, you know. And when you raise taxes and you put that burden on people, you take away their freedom. And what they do is that's how they control us with that tax code. I mean, it's obscene. And I'm getting beat up on this. I actually made the what's the guy's name? Chris Matthews, the guy that had the tingle in his leg.
Yeah.
I made this show last Friday. They were talking about me because I said that, you know, how many times have you been in the grocery store and the lady's got 2 or 3 youngins running around, a buggy full of groceries. She's dressed to the nines, got a real nice pocketbook, goes out and gets the car nicer than what we're driving, and she uses her WIC card to buy the groceries.
Yeah, hello.
Has she ever said thank you? No. She feels entitled to it. And, you know, that's what happens when the government takes care of the poor. And I did have an atheist who's very upset with me and calls me on a regular basis now because I say churches need to take care of the poor. And he's an atheist, he thinks the state should do it. But I told him I would modify and say that churches and nonprofits. I don't think it has to be a church. It can be anybody that wants to donate to the poor. But it should be out of our kindness of our hearts that we want to help other people. Because the difference between charity and tyranny is charity is when you help a brother. Tyranny is when the government comes by force and takes from you and gives to your brother. And not only does he take it from you and give to your brother, he wastes a lot of it for you.
He's willing to prosecute you and imprison you if you don't go along.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
You mentioned amnesty. Would you expound upon what your views on all this
I believe that
immigration?
if you break our laws, we can kick you out of the country. I'm a firm believer of the Fourth Amendment. I mean, the Bill of Rights to me, we wouldn't have a country if it wasn't for the Bill of Rights. Our forefathers never would agree to the deal. That's what sealed the deal. I don't want somebody just because their skin is darker than me. He stopped at a red light and asked for his papers. But if he's breaking the law and he's asked for his driver's license or whatever, and we find out it's illegal, then I'm for deporting. I think it should be self-deportation. They should leave. They shouldn't be here. They're here illegally. You got all these people that want to come to this country that are waiting in line. Why would you want to help the lawbreakers?
That's right.
I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm compassionate. It's the next guy, but think about it. If they all come here, who's going to fix their country? I mean, we can't help everybody. We can't build boats and ship people from every continent in the United States. And it's the same thing with our military. The best way America can help the rest of the world is to be strong.
That's right.
Not by spreading our military so thin, and not by having an immigration policy who you know, La Raza is an out-of-control organization. They, of course, gave Graham that award. I mean, these folks, they're not exactly here to help us. And what's going to happen, a lot of them, what's going to happen is, Graham, I believe, would like to be a Democrat. But he doesn't have the votes. I mean, remember Specter? Remember Arnold Specter?
Yep.
He finally switched.
Yeah.
Hey, if they can make all these illegals legal, guess what? They'll have the votes. And they can finally shut y'all up. They don't want to listen to you now. So if they can dilute your vote, they won't have to. Yes, sir.
One of the things, I've been around a while and votes, and what I've observed is that the Democrat Party and the Republican Party talk differently maybe, but they don't govern differently to any significant extent at all. What can you do to change the Republican Party to really take seriously the Constitution, the money, the budget, all the good things?
Well,
Tough decisions.
You gotta elect different people. I mean, you gotta elect the majority of different people. What this is gonna do is send a message by conservatism and what it means in South Carolina, and I think it'll have an impact around the country.
Are you willing to be a Ted Cruz?
Oh, absolutely. I've been in the South Carolina Senate. I mean, I've been chastised to no end. When I've shut down the Senate, they've closed it down for me.
We watched him in action on the floor, and we get a big kick out of watching him stand up to these
Absolutely.
cronies that are in the state senate, right?
We're
Joyce?
afraid of it.
Yeah.
They're afraid of it.
Well, it's, and that's one thing I want to, everybody wants to know, how do I know you're gonna do it? Because, you know, there's a segment of our population that likes Ted Cruz, and that likes Rand Paul, and you say their names and you get some supporters. But I mean, I've done it. And I see it as competition. I'd like to be there so I can see, you know, who is the most conservative of the bunch. And like Mike Lee, I think the one with Mike Lee, I mean, that guy didn't get a whole lot of press compared to the other two, but he's solid as a rock. Yes, ma'am.
How do you feel about term limits?
I sponsored term limits on the federal level. I sponsored it on the state level, or I've agreed to sponsor on the federal level. I have sponsored on the state level. I think they're great. I don't believe in self-imposed term limits, especially for senators, because senators rule by seniority. Basically, all the good guys self-term limit themselves and leave, and basically the big government guys stay, and they run the
They
Senate.
want another 8 years. They want another 8 years.
Oh, yeah, they'll stay
That was
forever.
reinstated.
I saw where Graham was, somebody was talking about Graham getting 6 more and 6 more and 6 more. But we got to put a stop to it for sure. But yeah, term limits would be great, but I just don't know if we can get them. Yeah. But I'll sponsor it and support it.
And what really bothers me, many things, but one of the big things is a foreign aid. 80 to 85% goes to Islam Nation. And they give money left and right. I don't know who articulates or who orchestrates all this, but now then, they're giving all this stuff to mainly oil people and the veterans in this country. Now they're talking about, throwing us under the bus for disabled, and it just goes on and on. A lot of things I don't even know about. And I'm a retired military dude, and my friend Chris is also, and it really bothers me. So what do you think about how can we control giving all this money to these foreign aid people overseas, and it just don't make sense?
I wouldn't give any money for humanitarian purposes. I wouldn't. And I'll tell you why. If you want to raise money for folks and send it overseas, that's great.
Yeah.
That's charity. But the only time I would spend money is if it was in the vital interest of the United States, in our vital national
That's
interest.
just it, the oil.
Well, we got the oil here.
We do.
I know.
I would get our own oil. I can get our own resources.
Well, I know, but how can we stop giving all this money away and help out our own people in America?
Well, and it goes back to the welfare situation. You know, these folks that we pay not to work. And there are people that are legitimately in need, which I think they ought to be taken care of in another way. And back to the humanitarian thing, we gotta be careful with that because we've got people addicted around the world to our help. And we gotta pull back, and I think we've gotta pull back slowly. I mean, we gotta be careful how we handle that because basically, anytime there's a disaster, you see we're in the middle of it. But
I don't supposed to talk about it, but we made airdrops in Africa and to help. Humanitarian, they had the women and the children, but we come through, drop it out. And then the airplane behind us, they couldn't believe what's happening. The army would run out of the bushes and start shooting and killing all the people and getting all the food.
yeah,
That's not good.
and not to get too much into the weeds, but on the humanitarian side, I'm talking about when there's a natural disaster. As far as giving food to dictators, which is what we do, we go and we think we're helping the people that are in need, and basically people have been fleecing them for generations are the ones that get the help.